Hey guys, welcome back. So yeah, I finally got my hands on Apple's new Watch Ultra. In this video, I'm going to take you through the unboxing, the design, the key features, and I'm also going to give you my thoughts on whether this is worth getting. But I also want to show you guys something that I don't think anyone else is talking about. So definitely make sure you stick around for that. Starting with the unboxing, this new watch is a whole new packaging experience. It comes in this thick textured cardboard, which is really nice. When you open it up, there's a really nice image of a mountain scene. I'm assuming because I ordered the Alpine band, so I guess you'll get a different image depending on which version of the strap you go for. On top of this, there's two boxes, one for the watch itself and another for the strap. And then underneath those, there's this really thoughtful booklet showcasing some of the key features of the Ultra, which I really like. So let's look at the strap now. Apple has released three different types of straps for the Ultra. The Alpine Loop, which comes in green, orange or starlight. The Trail Loop, which Apple says is for endurance athletes due to its lightness, which comes in these three colours. And then finally the Ocean Band, which is obviously intended for water sports. I went for the Alpine strap in green as it looked like the best all-rounder. And also, to be honest, I just thought it looked like the best design band overall. Although I did also like the look of the orange Alpine Loop as well. So let's have a look at this. Wow, I really like the colour of that. Really happy with that choice actually. To be honest, I was expecting it to be darker, so I'm really happy it's much lighter. And actually it looks much more like a sage green than it does a dark green, so that's great. So I guess it just unhooks like that. Yep, and then it's ready to go. Really like the finish on this. Let's open up the actual watch face as well so we can connect it up. By the way, I love the fact that Apple boxed the strap and the watch separately. It just gives you that subtle sense that the straps are totally interchangeable. So looking inside here, we have the charger. Really nice to see it's braided this year. Again, really happy to see Apple move to braided cables for most of their devices now. And then the watch itself. Wow, that is so much nicer than I expected it to be. The finish is so much cleaner than the pictures online make it look. The titanium finish is so much nicer in person. I mean, obviously, this thing is beefy, to be honest. I mean, look, it's an absolute tank. Look at how chunky it is compared to my Watch 7 45mm. It's definitely significantly larger. Strangely though, it doesn't feel that heavy, which is odd because it's almost double the weight of the aluminium model. Maybe I'm just used to my stainless steel model, which is only 10 grams lighter. On the back, you can see the sapphire encasement in the middle where the sensors are, and this is surrounded by this ceramic back, which to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of. I think the colour of it is a bit off in this sort of cream colour. I think it looks quite jarring against the orange of the action button and the titanium finish. But anyway, so let's put the strap on it now and we can talk about the overall design a bit more. So if we just slot that in, wow, that's actually really stiff to get in. These bands don't slot in anywhere near as easily as some of the others. So looking at it now on my wrist, it really doesn't look that big at all actually. The screen size is okay, which is great. It seems to just be the thickness, which is quite hard initially to get used to. Seems like that's the main thing here. But it's definitely a higher quality build, and there's kind of something cool about having that peace of mind that you can just chuck this around and not having to worry about it getting damaged. I currently never wear my watch when I go climbing because I'd be worried about damaging it. But now with this, I definitely do it. It's a shame it doesn't come in more colour finish options though. Would have liked to have seen a darker version, but I'm sure that's something that Apple will bring out in newer editions. Overall, the theme of this watch is supposedly much more capable in extreme environments. So let's talk about why. The first thing to say is this is just a larger watch. 49mm versus the Watch 7 or 8, which means they can just pack in a larger screen. It's actually 7% larger than the Apple Watch 7 or 8, which is always welcome. The screen is also significantly brighter in this Ultra versus previous models, with a peak brightness of 2000 nits, which is just going to make it even easier to see in direct sunlight, especially if you're out running and just want to look at it at a glance, but also now means you could legitimately use this watch as a low-powered torch or a flashlight if you need a quick fix. The new design also means that the screen is now flat and sits flush with the case, which personally I'm really excited about. It just means that any knocks or scrapes on the side will actually hit the case first and protect the screen, which is great. By the way, I always put screen protectors on my watches and they work really well to help prevent scratches and aren't really that noticeable. So I'll put a link down in the description for those if you want to check them out. If you're anything like me and just constantly hit your watch on things, just walking around the house or when working out, then the more rugged design is going to be music to your ears. Obviously all Watch Pros come in titanium, which depending on the exact alloy you're using, tends to be anywhere from 3 to 4 times as strong as stainless steel, not to mention how much more durable it will be than aluminium, which tends to dent pretty easily. Overall, we now have bigger buttons as well, which means they're easier to use if you're wearing gloves in the cold. And the digital crown is bigger, and we now have a crown guard as well, which sits alongside the entire right side, as well as a slightly protruding main button. This button actually clicks when you press it as well, which is unlike previous models, so you get this real sense that something will happen even if you're not looking at the watch itself and you just want that physical feedback. And of course, something that has received a lot of headlines is the customizable action button, which is great to see, and it's also fully customizable as well in theory via Apple's shortcuts feature. To set up a shortcut for the Watch Ultra, search for shortcuts on your phone, then click back to see all shortcuts, and then under Watch Shortcuts specifically, just simply create one. Just be careful though, as the functionality seems to be a bit limited at this stage. For example, I tried to set up a shortcut for a variable timer, but that didn't seem to work, and I just got an error message. But when I set it up for 5-minute timer, then it did seem to work. It's a shame that this timer didn't seem to sync with my phone for some reason. I'm sure that's something they'll fix via software. The action button will also act as an 86 decibel siren if you hold it down for long enough, which is super helpful if you're out on a hike or a trail run and fall and injure yourself. Just make sure you're wearing your new AirPods Pro before you do so though, otherwise this might break your ears. This is pretty loud. Behind the obvious external features, there's also some drastically improved sensors. We now have dual frequency GPS for more accurate tracking, and also waypoint tracking with an exclusive new waypoint watch face that you can also switch to night mode if you scroll the crown up, and that'll take out all the blue light from the watch face screen to preserve your night vision, so that's pretty cool. There's also now dual speakers and a triple mic setup to make call quality better when you're out and about, or if you're just driving and there's a lot of background noise. But to be honest, the main thing I'm interested in is this massively improved battery. You can now get 36 hours normal use and up to 60 hours in low power mode, which Apple says is coming out later this year. Really helpful if you want to track your sleep overnight, but also just generally, the Apple Watch battery is probably my biggest pain point at the moment. And finally, for any divers out there, the watch features a built-in dive mode and depth gauge, which has an official EN 13319 certification, which makes it dive ready up to 40 meters. One of my best friends dives a lot, and I know from him how complicated it can be to make sure you're doing everything properly and descending and ascending at the correct rate. So something like this is pretty exciting for divers, just have that peace of mind, not have to buy or rent a dedicated diving watch each time. So clearly Apple have created a watch that's aimed at extreme sports enthusiasts, or at least that's how it's marketed. If you're a high performance athlete or an action sports person, then you're the people that Apple is coming for. You know for sure they've gone and spoken to a bunch of athletes across different disciplines and asked them what they need to create a Garmin killing device, which is great. But clearly there's a lot more to it than just that. And I think Apple has missed a huge opportunity to position this watch for the many rather than for the few. If Steve Jobs had been alive today, he would have announced the Apple Watch in a completely different way. In short, he would have positioned it as the most amazing deal in the world, and here's why. Up until recently, Apple's watch pricing for its 45mm cellular models was as follows: aluminium $529, stainless steel $749, and titanium $849, not to mention ceramic, which discontinued after the Series 5 in 2019, starting at $1,299. And none of those prices even take into account if you wanted to upgrade any of these from the basic sports band to any of the braided bands or the more premium bands. You'd probably have to splash out an extra $50 for the pleasure. But rewinding for a second, yes, you did hear that correctly. At launch, Apple's Series 7 45mm titanium model was $849. And no one is talking about this. Given that the stainless steel model looked way nicer anyway, that was a bad deal, and Steve would have known it. If he had been up on stage today, he would have said that this year we are replacing the titanium model with a completely new, better in every single way model called the Ultra. He would have then repeated himself with the audience mesmerized. Let me just repeat that. We're giving you a significantly tougher and more durable design, an almost 70% increase in battery, a display that's twice as bright, a customizable action button, better speakers, a significantly improved microphone. Oh, and by the way, if you're a hardcore athlete, you can now use this too. Not only has it got enough juice to get you through an Ironman, but it's also good for getting you up Everest in minus 20-degree temperatures, and it just happens to be certified diving computer too. So what do we price this thing? $1,000? No. The Watch Ultra will be just $799, $50 cheaper than the previous titanium model, and it's available today. So the Watch Ultra isn't going to suit everyone. For some, it will simply be too bulky on their wrists. For others, it will be too expensive. Maybe you live in the desert and you need a watch with 14-day battery life and a rechargeable screen and don't care at all about usability, so go buy a Garmin. Or maybe, like me, you just wished it had come in some different colours. But if you're someone who generally has an active lifestyle and you're willing to spend $800 on a smartwatch, then this is the one to get, hands down. In short, this new Watch Ultra is in a league of its own, and for that reason, I'm definitely going to be keeping mine. And with that, I'll say goodbye. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.